Nyakwar. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Samuel. Um, I would really love to apologize for the much delay. Yeah, got caught up with some circumstances that are out of hand, and my apologies, and I hope it's accepted. Yeah. So I'm by the names of Nyakwar. Are you guys getting me? If so, please try to confirm it
Just a
for me.
moment, Nyakwar. Just hold on.
Yes. All right.
Nyakwar, just hold on.
Yes.
You're
All
having
right.
two devices playing at the same time. Try to sign off one and maintain one because your voice is double. You can try now and see if that works.
I'm good to go.
Yes, Nyakwar, I think you're good to go now.
All right. Yeah. Good evening or afternoon, everyone. I would again apologize for the delay. Yeah. So I'm by the names of Nyakwar. Strengths and initiative. I was among the first cohort, and it's great that what is started as a family is now growing into a big community. Yeah. Yeah, so I will not talk much. Let's talk about the limiting beliefs and emotional intelligence. Aiming at the end of the session is to identify the internal barriers. What we so term the limiting beliefs, we'll get to dive into them and know what they are. And we also want to reframe the negative self-talk. Then the emotional triggers and regulations, emotional intelligence, in relationships and workplaces, responding versus so we need to look at limiting beliefs. So we say limiting beliefs are self-imposed false assumptions that restrict potential. They are self-imposed, they are false assumptions, they are not facts, they are not truths, they are just assumptions. And most importantly, they restrict our potentials. They hold us back. Or else you can say these are thoughts or convictions. One could just become so convicted about a certain belief or an opinion. We believe it's assumptions, they are not real. So this internal, they prevent career advancement. They prevent us from taking risk on new opportunities. Are we together? There is someone unmute. Yeah. So the thoughts usually prevent us, from self-growth, from career advancement. They prevent us from taking new opportunities. They create in us fear, they create in us self-doubt. So this is what we term to be a limiting belief. Anything that you believe, anything that you are so much convicted about, and it holds you back. Any false assumption that you take, but then prevents you from growing, prevents you from risking or taking a new opportunity, creates in you fear, creates in you doubt, you see. So this is what we term to be a limiting belief, right? So looking at the examples of limiting beliefs, one could say, I'm not good enough. I believe most of us have ever said such words ourselves. These are the negative self to ourselves. I'll never be successful. I'll never succeed. You could assume that I'm not talented. You could mention, there are those in public, I cannot do this, I cannot do this, I'm not worthy, I'm not capable, I'm not fit. You see, so those are the negative beliefs. You see this. So looking into this code that I'll bear mind to. So the limiting beliefs, when you set your mind into doing something, or you start believing that you're talented, you will start to experience different things. You see that? So these are the limiting beliefs. So how we feel and how we see the world around us. You see, the beliefs that we carry, the convictions that we have are very powerful. They are tools actually that could shape the feelings, and this will lead us to what? To the what? To the emotion. Okay, I don't know. Are you not getting my voice well? Samuel, Brenda, try to help me in.
Yeah,
Is my voice not
Nyakwar,
clear?
yeah, it's clear, but it's
You are,
breaking.
but it's
Your network.
breaking.
And if
Your
and if
network
it's possible,
is bad.
you can also rotate your
Oh,
screen
there
if
is
possible.
network issues. Sorry about that.
Your network is not stable and your voice is more distorted.
Mm. Are you forgetting me now or still?
Yeah, it's okay now.
It's okay. All right. So I was talking about the examples of limiting beliefs, the convictions or the false assumptions that we usually have, the thoughts that we usually carry, thinking that I'm not capable, thinking that I'm not enough, I'm not talented, I cannot make it, I cannot succeed. Back, and they could restrict our potentials. You may be capable enough. Believing that I cannot do it, you will restrict your potential and you will not excel. So those are what we want
Hello, Nyakwar.
to be
Please
the
let me
limiting
interrupt you.
beliefs, and so forth that you can actually see it. Our beliefs are actually harmful. Yes,
Could you try to rotate your screen?
Samuel.
Yeah, could you try to rotate your screen?
Pardon?
It's kind of tiny. Could you rotate your screen? Exactly. Yeah. Try to rotate it.
Like this?
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's okay now.
Okay.
Try again.
It's okay like this. I should rotate again?
Yeah, yeah, it's okay now.
Okay. Yeah. So we're saying that the beliefs we have are powerful and they can shape our feelings and also how we perceive the world around us would actually affect how you see the world, how you take the opportunities. So what? perceive the world around you. So the beliefs can also, limit our actions and ultimately our lives. So this is where limiting beliefs come in. These beliefs actually can be about yourself. As I mentioned earlier, you could say, I'm not fit, I'm not capable. You just have that negative belief about yourself. So the belief can also be about the world that is around us. Example, you could say, I can't switch careers just because the people around me will judge me. I can't ride maybe a boda because people will laugh at me. Those are limiting beliefs about the world that you're in, or the surrounding, or the community that you are in. So they could restrict your potential, and they could also block your opportunities. You see that? They could also be about life in general and how life works. So where do our limiting beliefs come from? This is what we need to know. Did you just grow and find yourself having those negative thoughts? How did we start to have those beliefs in us from one person to another? Most limiting beliefs are developed during our childhood and our youth, as we are shaping who we are and how we view the world. So as you grow from your childhood to your youth, the environment limiting beliefs in you could feed you with the assumptions that by time you absorbed and actually trust and believe in to be reality, yet they are not. So a few sources of this could actually include how you were raised. This is where one source where limiting beliefs could actually come from. How you were raised, you see. So the beliefs your family instilled in you and how you interpreted those beliefs. So we grew up in families, different families. There are beliefs that are being instilled in you. Some children from their childhood are made to believe that they cannot what? They cannot fit in a certain community. Are made to believe that they cannot do a specific things in life. They are made to believe and limited into specific things. So how you were, and also how you absorbed and interpret them could make a difference, or could matter, or could lead to the beliefs that you're actually having. So this could be from whether you feel valued by others, to what career path you should take, to how you should behave in social setting. We see there are specific courses. Let's talk maybe of the career. Electronics, girls are not believed to do electronics. It's only perceived to be for boys. This is a limiting belief. As a girl, you would say, I cannot go for electronics. So we have specific careers that we choose. We believe they're for girls. Yet you might have a potential in that specific career. But then it's how you were actually raised. It's how the environment you're in have fed you. So you start to develop those limiting beliefs. And that can actually affect the career path you could choose, can actually affect how you feel. Do you feel valued? Do you feel rejected? And all those. Another source could be education, or maybe the learning. We continuously learn. So your education, not only by your teachers or professors, but also your friends, your peers, that matters a lot. So this can actually once you see that as well as how things can how things around you can work. So this can actually shape your own conceptions of what you can do and what you cannot do. You see that? So as you grow, you explore maybe through educational levels, various educational levels. There are things, new ideas that you get, new opinions that you get about yourself, and new perceptions begin to grow in you. And these things can actually lead to the limiting beliefs. So if you happen to absorb negative ones, they will create the negative and the limiting beliefs. You see that? Another source could be your life experiences. So life experience that might have ended negatively, and the conclusions that you might have drawn from that specific experience can create a limiting belief in you. So if you might have tried something and you failed in doing it, you see, that experience can just make you believe you don't have the capability. Doesn't mean that you cannot do it, you see. So such experiences that do end in a negative, they could create the negative beliefs in us, the limiting ones, you know. So we do create the limiting beliefs as a defense mechanism, you know, to avoid the adverse feelings in the future. You are just afraid to fail again. So you will limit yourself and be like, you know what, I cannot do it, because you are afraid. Last time you tried it, you failed. This time around, you're afraid to try it again. And that is a limiting belief. You see that? So, how do we overcome the limiting beliefs? I believe as we are exploring this session, you are reflecting to yourself. There is that limiting belief in you. There is that specific thing in you. Someone might say, I cannot speak in public. Yeah, it's something so common with us. So we are trying to look at how can we overcome them, because we have seen that they can actually restrict our potential as maybe advance in our careers. So we need to see how do we overcome the limiting beliefs, you know, because they are so ingrained in our mindset. But so they are still, it's possible to overcome. Doing so also could take time, and it's important to respect the process and be patient. Oh, I'm seeing again people are complaining of my network. Is my voice still cutting, breaking? My voice is still breaking.
Yeah, it's kind of like, but it's okay now.
Oh, anyway, guys, bear with me. It's actually not in my hand. I just don't know why my network is so poor today. Maybe because Sunday and that. So yeah. So we are talking of how can working, or you guys can get it a bit. All right. So overcoming the limiting beliefs, we said it could be difficult to discern them. All right, thank you. So we said the limiting beliefs actually can be difficult to discern. And it's also possible to overcome them. And the process will actually take you time. That will need you to be patient with yourself as you're overcoming those beliefs. It won't happen overnight. You need to be continuous and committed in that process of overcoming those limiting beliefs. Right? So generally the key to overcoming them is self-reflection. You need to reflect yourself, you see, and then have self-awareness, get to know yourself, and from there reframe, you know, the limiting belief with the positive one. So this is a general key. You need not to only identify your limiting beliefs, but also let go of them. You need to let go of them and reframe them. You need to reframe them in order to be able to what? To move forward. Yeah. So these are a few steps, you know, into overcoming our limiting beliefs. Step number one is to know what is that exact. After you recognize, you know, what the negative thoughts you always tell yourself, you need to challenge that belief. If you always tell yourself that I cannot do it. Okay. So challenge the belief. Question whether the belief is really true. You need to take time. Question yourself. Is that belief really true? Is it true that I cannot make it? Is it true that I'm not talented? Is it true that I can never succeed? You see, because often the limiting beliefs are not facts. They are just assumptions. So ask yourself, have any other people in the similar situation succeeded? That is specific thing you're believing that you cannot do. Ask yourself, has someone ever succeeded from it? If yes, then meaning you are also capable, or you will also be able to succeed. You see that? The next step could be replacing it, that negative belief, that limiting replace it with a negative belief into a positive and empowering one. You know, example, if the negative belief is I can't speak in public, speaking skills. Yes, if you cannot speak, you can develop the skill with time as you practice. So you need to replace that negative limiting one with a positive one. You need to get a positive thoughts, replace it with it, and believe that you can do it. So the next step is to take small actions or steps. So it's just not a matter of replacing it with just a thought, replace this thought with the other. Take action towards it. Start with the small steps that prove the limiting belief wrong. So you need to take steps towards. As we mentioned, that limiting belief about maybe it's not a must that you start. Confidence, and with time you'll be a public speaker. I believe all these public speakers, they just didn't start it like that. No, they have gone through that. They have faced that limiting belief, but then they chose to start, to grow and build the confidence. And today we admire them. You could be in that same position, but then you're able to come out of it. You're able to do it. Just a matter of practice and giving yourself that time to work on yourself. So the next step could be surrounding yourself with positive people. Our company matters. The people around us matters. You see, having supportive friends, having mentors and leaders who can encourage you and change the negative thoughts in you, it's very important. The environment that you're in can actually determine if you will be able to overcome the limiting beliefs or not. If you have mentors who trust in you, who tells you you can do it, who tells you you are capable, who tells you you are talented, reminds you always that you have the potentials, such people with time will help you to get rid of the negative thoughts within you, and you will overcome it. I had a mentor who actually mentored me to where I am today. I used to be that shy girl in class that I don't raise my hand, I don't participate, I just focus on my academics. I write, I keep quiet, comes to exams, I do my papers, and that's all. But then I reached to secondary and one teacher believed in me. He believed that I had the potential to do something at me and guide me till I built the confidence. That public is, and I'm not one. I'm not capable. I don't have that talent. But that was just a limiting belief that I grew up with. But then with time, I was able to overcome it. You see, so the people that are around you matters a lot. If you have people who could believe in you, then it would be something good. People who always speak negative, or are you around people who always speak in a positive manner? it's something that you need to revise. So the next step could be practice self-affirmations. This thing to do. Always be positive and statements. You don't need to be negative. Speak it, believe it. With time, it will happen. So you need to repeat those positive statements regularly about yourself. You need to tell yourself, I'm capable. I'm able. I can do it. Yeah. I'm talented. I'm fit. I have that capacity. I'm capable of learning new things. You don't need to limit yourself. You see that? So you need to always have the positive statements. Reaffirm them. Always. And by time, you will get to overcome the limiting beliefs. I recently applied for a digital bootcamp that is on AI app development. When I first saw the post, I had that limiting belief that I cannot be part because I don't have an ICT background. I'm a medical student. I was like, plus then the post certified, and that I gave it a try. I applied, and at the end, how these limiting beliefs can restrict you. You see that? So you could it, but you could be having that capacity to learn it. Yes, I don't have the ICT background, but then I have that capacity of learning. You see that? And it. So we have those limiting beliefs, but how to overcome them? We need to be positive enough. We need to reaffirm positive statements. Yeah. Then the next step could be we should learn from our failures. Our failures shouldn't actually discourage us, but then we should learn from them. So failure is part of growth. You could fail it today, but then you never know. You have grown. It has helped you move a step higher. Though it could look a failure, but then you didn't know how it might have taken you a step higher. So instead of seeing failure as a proof that you cannot succeed, see it as an opportunity to learn. You might have given it a trial today and you have failed. It doesn't mean that you can not succeed in it. No. Take it as a learning opportunity. Give it another try and you will make it. The last step could be focus on growth mindset. Growth through efforts and learning. So the abilities are not built overnight, over a day, but through efforts, consistent efforts and learning, we improve them. So have that mindset always. Mindset, that growth mindset always, that you can improve your abilities by learning, by putting in effort, by committing yourself. And these are how we could make this. Let's look at emotional intelligence. Use, understand, manage, and achieve.
Yes, I think we lost her. Let's give her some time for her to join back the call. So, and please let's bear with her. These are technical issues. They happened and unexpected. So let's bear, please.
I lost connection, sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're talking of emotional intelligence. Hope you guys are getting me. Someone try to confirm, please. Are you getting me?
Yes, please, we can hear you loud and clear. Proceed.
All right, all right. So here we're actually looking into emotional intelligence. We said this is the ability to perceive, understand, manage, and handle emotions. Not only that, but also to manage the emotions of others or to understand. So, looking at emotional intelligence, there are about 5 components of emotional intelligence. This is the first component of the emotional intelligence. So, when we talk of self-awareness, this means understanding your own emotions, and how they affect your behavior. It's so important to understand your emotions and also how they affect how you behave or how you react. So, the second component could be self-regulation. So, this is the ability to control or to manage your emotional reactions. Self-regulation, managing your reactions, your emotional reactions. The third component is empathy. This is the ability to understand and having empathy, being able to understand how people around you feel. This is part of emotional intelligence. The next skills are used to communicate and help you in a healthy way, interact with others effectively. And the last component is motivation. So it means having the internal drive to maintain positive relationships and personal growth. That internal drive, that motivation from within, that helps you to maintain a positive relationship. Still driving into emotional intelligence, let's look at emotional triggers and regulations. We have looked into emotional or self-awareness, self-regulations, being able to control emotions. But then it leads to us reacting in a way. We also look into how we could regulate them. So emotional triggers, these are events, could be words or situations that can provoke intense automatic emotional reactions. It could be an event, it could be a word said to you by someone, a situation that happens, and this could actually provoke an intense and automatic emotional reactions, like anger, anxiety, or fear, frustration. You see that? So they usually stem or they come from past experiences, having maybe such memories that are painful, could be from situational factors, could be from interpersonal things that actually stem the into. So emotional regulation, another way, this is the ability to manage and control your emotional responses in a healthy way. If the emotions are triggered or if you are provoked, so regulation helps you to manage and not control your emotion. controlling our emotional triggers. If you are provoked, how could you control it in order not to react, in a very bad way? Number one is awareness. So recognize what you are feeling and what triggers the emotions. That is very important. Be aware of actually what is triggering, that emotion, that sadness, or that fear, or that frustration. You need to actually. Then, the moment you recognize this one, it will actually reduce the intensity of that reaction. The moment you get to know, to get to realize, or get to recognize what is, it will reduce the intensity of that fear. Yeah. The next strategy could be pausing and breathing. This helps actually create a gap between your reaction and your response. When something happens, you need to pause. You need to reflect. Take a deep breath. Able to solve, and you want to react. The next thing is actually cognitive reframing. You need to have a different view of how things are. Try to look at the situation from a different perspective. Don't just conclude from how it is. Maybe an event or a situation happens. You don't just need to get frustrated. You don't need to just become sad, or start to fear. Try to look at it in another angle. It could not be as you are perceiving it, or as you're actually taking it at that very moment. So the moment you try to reframe things, you'll be able to control emotions. That fear could reduce, that anxiety could go away. You won't feel sad anymore because you have actually shifted your view. You have actually shifted your perspective, and you have seen it in another angle, in another way. You see that? So the next strategy is mindfulness. You need to be mindful, focus on the present moment instead of what? Reacting emotionally. Focus on how be mindful, be focused at your lifestyle. Lifestyle matters. For perspective, exercise helps reduce stress hormones. So if you actually feel emotionally triggered, maybe you're feeling sad, you're feeling maybe fear, too much fear, or anger, there is a way that exercise could actually reduce on that stress. So you could do some small exercises and you will feel a bit relieved. You need also to have proper sleep. You see that? The moment you sleep, there is a way that your emotions are regulated. You are able to control your emotions now. You're able to manage them. The other thing is avoiding alcohol. I shouldn't be offensive, but then it's just some lifestyles that actually help us to have, mood stability. Because when you practice such lifestyles, your moods are stable, your emotions are regulated. Setting, it's very important. You need to establish healthy boundaries to protect future triggers. So you set a boundary, decide that you're not triggered, into that intense reaction. Set a boundary, a healthy one, have that boundary. If you realize this always triggers you into anger, or this always triggers you into fear, or this always triggers you maybe into, sadness, create a boundary. Stay away, stay far, a healthy one, and you'll be able to what? To regulate your emotions and also protect against the future triggers. So let's look at response and reaction. These are two different things. So in every emotional trigger, it's either we respond or we react. These are the two things that happen. So both describes different ways people deal with situations, especially emotional ones. So when you're emotionally triggered, it's either you react or you respond to it. So when we talk of reaction, this is an immediate, automatic emotional response to situations without thinking. And this happens with most of us. Find yourself, you're just reacting without thinking. That reaction just comes automatic, immediate. Maybe if you're triggered, you become angry immediately. You just become sad. You just become aggressive. That's why you can even fight. You see, you can insult. This is a reaction. So it's just immediate. It's automatic. You don't even think. This happens quickly and impulsively. It's driven by emotions and often leads to regret. So when you are that person that usually, at times, maybe you're triggered into, you become sad and you take a decision, you see. You become frustrated. You take a decision. You'll regret the decision you made. You see that? And impulsively. It's driven by emotions, but then often leads to regret. So let's look at response. Think about the situation. You are emotionally triggered when you take a deep breath and you create after thinking connection. You know, you take enough time to think about the situation, respond in a controlled manner. I expect us to take by the end of this session. So if we are emotionally triggered, we need to give ourselves that gap. We need to give acting, be able to take a thoughtful communication. Yeah. Still continuing looking at emotional intelligence in relationships and workplace. We say emotional intelligence in relationships and actually in work helps us. It actually improves our communication, our cooperation, teamwork in workplace comes when we have that emotional intelligence. Without emotional intelligence, we won't be able the team. You won't even be able to. It's very important to have emotional intelligence. Important. Yeah. Uh, um, so probably yeah. Are you guys getting me? Sorry, I lost connection again. My network is becoming completely unstable. I think I'll probably end here. I'll share the slides plus the assignment. You guys will get it and I'll go through the slides. Also get to, we'll be in touch through the, to help. Otherwise, my network has been so disappointed. So I think I'll give it back to Samuel and Brenda. And if there are questions, I'll try with my network to also help. I think Samuel, you can come in. Samuel.
Yes, Nyakwa. All right. That was really awesome, Nyakwa. That was really wonderful presentation. I am. I think we still have more minutes, and so we have more of our facilitators in the room. So I'm going to give them also chances, maybe for them to also have
Brenda,
their
are you there?
inputs before I give chance or the floor to others to ask questions and maybe also some inputs. So let me first share the attendance rather in the chat as we continue with that, and then you fill out that attendance. So the link is shared now in the chat. Please check out in the chat. Um, okay. So Brenda, as I copy the link, you can proceed if you have anything to say. I'll say Emmanuel, you guys have anything to add on what's been presented, so you can proceed.
Thank you, Samuel. And good afternoon, everyone, once again. Thanks, Nyakwa, for the presentation, although the network could not allow you to do a great job. But I think the key concepts you've been able to pass that through, and I believe that for those who've been able to keen enough to follow through the slides, they probably picked a number of things that they can basically apply in their everyday life. So from my side, as for those who've been able to attend the orientation, you would have seen that we have quite a number of sessions throughout the fellowship. And we will be talking about so many things, things around career, around leadership, around personal branding, around networking, communication, Google tools, all of those, right? And you realize that these are all very important skills that will help you to be able to navigate the future. But there is something deeper than all of these skills. There is something that determines whether those skills will actually work in your life. For those who are not muted, please try and mute yourself so that you're able to reduce the background noise. So, as I was saying, there's something that determines whether you're going to put those skills to use in your actual life. And that is your mindset and your emotional awareness. You can learn a lot of things. You can learn how to write the best CVs in the world. But if deep inside you believe you're not worthy of opportunities, you may never apply for any role. You can learn public speaking techniques, but if fear and self-doubt control you, you may never stop forward, right, to even speak. You can understand networking strategies, but if insecurity tells you that you do not belong in certain spaces, you may hold yourself back. What this means is that sometimes the biggest barrier to success is not the external world. It is the internal world. The beliefs you carry, the emotions you experience, the way you interpret situations, the way you speak to yourself when no one else is listening. That is why today's session was all about how we could examine all of this. Because before we build professional skills, we must first build self-awareness. Before we talk about influencing others, we must learn how to understand and manage our own emotions. Before we step into leadership, into the outside world, we must first develop leadership within ourselves. That's why we covered things around the limiting beliefs, the emotional intelligence, and all that, because it is the foundation. It's about understanding the invisible patterns that shape our decisions, our confidence, and our relationships. Many of us believe that success is determined by opportunity, by education, or connections. But if you look carefully at the lives of people who achieve extraordinary things, you will discover something deeper. Their biggest battle was not outside, it was inside their minds, inside their emotion, inside the beliefs they carried about themselves. And that is why you had to attend this session first for you to be able to understand, right? Because sometimes your greatest barrier between where you are right now and where you want to be is not the lack of ability. It's not because you don't know something. It's just the belief. A belief that quietly says to you, I'm not ready. I'm not good enough. People like me do not succeed. And the dangerous thing about limiting belief is that they are invisible, right? They don't announce themselves. They quietly shape your decision as much as they are very quiet. They shape your decisions. They influence the risks you take. They influence the opportunities that you pursue. They influence the rooms you believe you belong in, because you're always doubting yourself, and like there are some places that are not meant for you. That you're not good enough to fit into certain places and all that. And if you never challenge these limiting beliefs, they quietly become the architecture of your life. Think about that for a moment. Not your abilities, not your qualification, but your beliefs. How many opportunities have you missed in your life? Not because you were incapable, but because you doubted yourself. How many ideas have you died before they were ever spoken to anybody? How many dreams have you abandoned because someone believed they were not worthy? You get. So somebody believed and told you, it's not good enough, and you just buried it just like that. Sometimes the difference between the person who moves forward and the person who remains stuck is not intelligence, it's the mindset. The courage to challenge the voice inside of you that says you cannot. Limiting beliefs are only one part of this story. The second part of the story is where you talk about the emotional intelligence. And this is where many people struggle because emotions are powerful. When people feel criticized, they react. When people feel rejected, they withdraw. When people feel insecure, they become defensive. And if we do not learn how to manage our emotions and begin for us to understand our own emotions better and begin to manage it very well, we are not emotionally intelligent people. So by the time you hear somebody say, oh, this is emotionally intelligent, it's because that person has developed the skills that are necessary for them to manage their own emotions. Emotionally intelligent people understand something very powerful. They understand that between stimulus and response, there is a space. Someone criticizes you, in that moment, you have a choice. You can react with anger, or you can pause and respond with maturity. Either way, you have the opportunity. Someone can disagree with you, you can react defensively, or you can respond with curiosity. Either way, the decision lies with you. And that small space between what happens to you and how you respond to it is where your personal leadership lives in. And that is what emotional intelligence is all about. It's about learning to master that space, that I must not react to everything that happens to me. So this entire fellowship, we are not only trying to build people who are skilled. You're not supposed to come here and learn skills and go use them out there. We're trying to build people who are self-aware, people who can understand themselves, people who can manage their emotions, people who can walk into challenging environment and still remain grounded. Because the world you are entering will not always be kind. The kind of environment that we live in, things are not always handed to us in a platter. There will be rejection, there will be criticism, storms will come, you will fail and fail and fail. You get. There will be moments when you question yourself entirely, which are all okay. But the individuals who succeed are those who learn how to navigate all of these moments with emotional maturity. So I want you to reflect on a number of things, but the most important thing is reflect on what belief about yourself might be limiting your growth today. Is it a belief about your confidence, your intelligence, your background, your ability to lead? And if that belief disappeared today, what will you attempt first? What opportunities will you pursue? What kind of person would you become? Because the truth is this: your life will always move in the direction of the beliefs you hold about yourself. Because that is what you're giving your energy to. And whatever you give your energy to, that's what is going to come to pass. If you believe you are capable, you will attempt more and succeed more. If you believe you are not, you will hold yourself back and nothing is going to work out for you. And that is why this work we are doing today is so powerful. The session we're having today is very important, and it must set the tone for you for everything that you're going to do in your life going forward. Because transformation does not begin when you change your circumstances. Transformation begins when you change the way you see yourself. The greatest leadership journey you will ever undertake is leading yourself. For those who are pursuing courses that will place you in leadership role, if you cannot lead yourself, you can't lead anything, you can't lead everybody. Leading yourself means learning to challenge your limiting beliefs, learning to regulate your emotions, learning to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. Because when you master these things, you become someone who is not easily shaken by life. You become someone who can stand difficult moments with clarity. You become someone who is capable of building a life that reflects true potential. And that is what this fellowship is all about. Not just building skills, but building individuals who understand themselves deeply, deeply enough to become the best versions of themselves, who they are meant to be. I hope you had a great deal of learning everything throughout the session. And if not, go back, rewatch the video, go over it as many times as you can so that you are able to set the kind of foundation that is very necessary for you, upon which you're going to build everything else that you're going to build in your life. Thank you, and over to Samuel.
All right, thank you so much, Brenda. That was really powerful. Like, it's really great input. So I really enjoyed it. I don't know, Emmanuel, do you have anything to add? And also, I've just shared attendance in the chat, the link for the attendance. So please fill the attendance out before we end the call. So if no more inputs from the mentors, I think I'm going to throw it back to you guys to maybe have questions that you wanted to ask or any clarifications concerning the presentation. As well, you can also take in your inputs if you feel like to also give us from your own perspective how to understand and what you know about emotional intelligence and also limiting so let's get that done quickly. If there are questions, please you can, as our custom here, you put up your emoji hand, or you can also send your message in the chat, and we'll be able to tackle that question. So let's get that done quickly. If there are questions, feel free to ask them, and also concerns, as well as the inputs. Okay, yeah, I think Veronica, your hand is up. Please, you can unmute and proceed.
Thank you, Samuel, Brenda, and Nyakwar for this great session. I simply do not have a question, or it's just I think a comment or something like that, if it's allowed.
Sure, proceed, please.
Okay. So just my comment would be personally, this session spoke to me. It spoke to my inner self. I've really been, most of the times I do have, such beliefs, the negative bit of, will I really manage this? Can I do this? The self-doubt, the all that, the emotional unavailability, just a lot of limiting beliefs to myself. If it's maybe or something to do, or a position that I have to go for, or a thing that I have to present, or something like that. Anything that is basically surrounding my life and activities and anything else, I usually have such limiting beliefs of myself, of impossibilities I may not manage. So to me, for this kind of topic to appear today in this second session, it really spoke to me, and kind of revived the the confidence that had lost, the self-esteem that I had really lost. So it kind of restored my esteem a bit. And of course, I'll go back to the streamed, the recorded version, and maybe go through it and through it and through it, because I feel revived, and I really loved it. And I want to personally thank Nikwar, though there's been a lot of networking issues with the connection, but I'm really pleased with this, and it's giving me a hope that the more topics that are coming up, each and every one of us in the class might have something that speaks to them, in one way or the other. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Veronica. That's really sweet comment. I really love how you tackled and also added your comment. It's really interesting, and we all come from a long, long distance for us to come up to this end. So this session has really revived us, and we got to know where we can correct and what we can overcome from this life that we already suffering from. So I think I would go with Nancy first because she put her hands up before you, Jane. Then Jane, you can follow after Nancy. All right, Nancy, you can unmute please and proceed.
Okay. Thank you, Samuel. Thank you, Miss Brenda, and thank you, Nyakwar. This has been really a great session. So I have both a question and also, let me say, a vote of thanks. So really, this has been a great session, and indeed, I've learned a lot from it. And yes, what you talked about is all, Nyakwar, what you talked about is all true. And these are the challenges that we're facing, day to day, especially coming from South Sudan. I think most of us are from South Sudan, a society that is patriarchal, that discourages the girl child. And, we have tribal beliefs, like, there's some tribes that, let me say, discourage girl education, especially the tribe that I come from, and all stuff like that. And, this thing of limiting beliefs, it's not only actually concerning an individual, but also concerning, the society, the community, the tribe, the family, and all that. And then, as a Christian, I believe that we're all created for a purpose, and we're created by God, and God does nothing for jokes. He created nothing for entertainment. Everything has a purpose, including even the flower, the insects, and everything. And so I believe that we can go past, we can go beyond our self, limitations and beliefs if we only discover who we are, and then, pursue that. Otherwise, if because I've been battling with this for a long time. Yes, there are times where I question myself, and then, I ask myself, who am I? Where am I from? Where am I going? And usually these are very important questions, but people usually take them literally. When they ask who you are, usually people think that we are pointing to a physical location or something like that. But no, these are really, 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 in both intellectual and spiritual questions that you must look at them from a very different perspective and direction. And so, my question is, could we, let me say, have a session, on purpose, on how, we can discover our purpose? Otherwise, if we're all going to just try out everything, we're going to end up to be, jack of all trades and master of none. So, like, could we get a session where maybe say we can go through how we can discover our gifts our gifts and our purpose, as people created by God, knowing that he does nothing for jokes. He created all of us for a purpose, and we have something that we need to do, we were created to fulfill something in this world. We're not here just existing as the one might define us and all stuff like that. But otherwise, I'm very grateful for this session, especially about emotional intelligence and all stuff like that, because I have personally, of course, on other occasions, rarely, but of course, on other occasions, I've reacted emotionally to, to circumstances, maybe to insults from people or stuff like that. But I've also been around people really that have really acted just on impulse. I have lived with them in South Sudan, and I know how people behave, how people are just, act on instinct. I think maybe to prove a point or something, because when you don't respond back, maybe say if somebody slaps you and you don't slap back, it is taken as you're weak or you're fearing the other person or something like that. But really thank you very much for this emotional intelligence session, and the moving past your self limitations and all stuff like that. And then you talked about mentoring, like you should get a mentor and stuff like that. Yes, it's really very important, and I really strongly believe in mentorship very, very much. But then personally, I am very, very picky about mentors, because I have also very, very different beliefs, and I'm afraid that the people who have been surrounding me are really very negative, and they don't dream, beyond. Like maybe say in the group or anything like that, could you like give suggestions of mentors? Maybe say that you have, let me say, acquaintances or anything that people that we can talk to, and just walk this journey with us. Anyway, thank you.
All right, Nancy, that's really a great comment, and also a sensitive question. I really love the question, how you posed the question. I think my mentors here will give you. Uh, I think they will answer that very well. Let me give chance to them and answer you this question. I hope, Brenda, you can hear and Emmanuel. So if you guys can say anything about the question, you can please proceed.
I can hear you. I've gotten the question. I don't know. Nyakwara's left the session. This
Let
is
me check.
online.
I think
Yeah.
she's. You didn't hear the
Okay.
question?
Just a moment. Don't please hold off and mute yourself. Let's have one person ask the question, we provide the response, and then we go to the next until we're done. Confirm if Nyakwara is still on the line.
Yeah, she's still. I think she's.
Yes, please.
She's joining.
Yeah,
She was out.
she was off, so she didn't get the question.
Yeah, she will join.
Yeah, I thought she would respond because this is literally her session, so I don't want to steal her presentation. So she can provide response, and then I can add something that probably she misses. But if she didn't get it, then I can respond.
While she's preparing to answer that question, maybe you can say something about it. Let me reach her out.
Great. So Nancy, thanks for your comments and feedback. Limiting beliefs, just like you've put, they don't just suddenly appear, right? They are formed over time through the experiences and the environment. And several things can set these things into our life, like our early childhood experiences, right? Many beliefs begin very early in our life. The things we repeatedly hear from our parents, from our teachers, people with authority figures, right? For example, if someone grows up hearing statements like, you are not good enough, definitely you will put that in your mind, right? You would think that you cannot succeed because constantly somebody has been telling you as a child that you're not good enough, right? Talk about past failures and negative experiences. If you've gone through some dramatic experiences in your past, if you've tried something and failed constantly at it, you may think that you're not capable at this particular thing. And at some point, you don't want to try it anymore. Talk about social comparison. Constantly comparing ourselves to others also self-limiting beliefs, right? When you measure your worth against the achievement of other people, you will think less of yourself, right? You don't know the journey that person has walked. You don't know the journey that they've been through to be able to put that success out there. But you are here trying to measure yourself against that standard. It's not yours. You have your own path, right? So you should be able to walk through your own path. Cultural and environmental expectations, all of those contribute directly or indirectly. You get. So some cultures tell us what we can do, what we can't do, and all of that. Negative self-talk over time. Now, this is very personal. If you repeatedly tell yourself negative things, eventually your mind accepts those things as the truth, right? So a number of factors that could make you start having this kind of limiting beliefs, right? And you can always overcome this if you practice a lot of self-awareness, where you're able to identify some of these patterns and question the evidence, right? Instead of, because most limiting beliefs are basic assumptions, right? So ask for the facts, reframe the narrative, right? Talk to yourself in a positive way. Yeah, so there are a number of things that you could do to be able to overcome this. And your last concern was about finding purpose. So we have a session on vision casting. So when we do a session on vision casting, we'll talk about defining your future self, talk about long-term career mapping, strategic goal setting, vision, and all of those. So we will be able to touch part of the finding your purpose through that session. And not only that, we have a number of sessions that will help you to be able to get out of some of these. Sessions on boundaries and energy management, sessions on resilience, grit, and self-leadership. You'll find sessions on decision-making, problem-solving, sessions on habit systems, productivity, and all of those. So we have an all-round program that at the end of each of these sessions, you should be able to have something key that you will take away that can be able to help you overcome these things. Now, another question that you had was on mentorship. Normally, we have a mentorship session where we're able to put people in groups but the mentorship group that we have is not particularly for self-awareness. No, the mentorship group that we have for the Build Your First Self group is for the entire program, that you will be paired with a mentor that can help you to go over some of the things that you probably did not understand during the session, to help you get through, to help you understand. Because you might be speaking to somebody and that person doesn't have the details in terms of the knowledge, expertise to talk to you maybe about self-awareness. So they can't help mentor you. So if you need a more personalized sessions about these kind of things, right, you can visit the Build Your Best Self website, and then you'll be able to see what kind of services that you can find there. But beyond that, you can try as much as possible to try and talk to myself and see how you can be helped. Thank you. I hope all of those addresses your concerns, questions particularly, and thanks for the input. You can just give me a thumbs up and then you can proceed. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Jen, you can unmute and proceed.
Okay, thank you, Samuel, for giving me this chance. First of all, I would like to thank Ms. Nyakwar for the wonderful presentation. I have actually learned a lot more, especially on the limiting beliefs, because I mostly face most of them. So my question is, in some situation, like someone might have a low self-esteem, and they don't often like realize their actions after that their actions affect others. if you give them like feedback directly, they might get defensive or feel attacked because it doesn't match how they see themselves. So what is the best way to give the feedback to that person who isn't aware of how their behavior affects the rest of the team? Thank you.
Yeah, Nipur, I hope you got the question. So if you got it, so please you can proceed to answer. Nipur, can you hear me? Yeah, I think our network seems to be unstable. So,
Great. So let me provide response to Jen. This was Jen, right? Great. Is she still on the call? I don't see her.
yeah, she is on the call, but her network is unstable. She just
No,
sent me.
I'm talking about Jen. She
Jane,
asked the
okay,
question. Yeah,
okay.
I
Let me
don't
check.
see her.
Yeah, I'm still online.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Great. So when you're giving feedback to someone who has a low self-esteem, it requires more than the normal feedback because if you deliver this feedback poorly, the person may interpret it as a confirmation that they're not good enough, and you're trying to confront them. The goal is to build the confidence of that person while still guiding them to improve themselves. So you must have some, let's say, when you're providing feedback to this kind of person, start by creating psychological safety. People with low self-esteem are often already anxious about judgment, right? So begin by showing respect and reassurance. For example, I want to share some feedback because I believe you have strong potential and I want to help you improve even further. You get. So you are trying to provide a feedback from a point of respect and reassurance, right? So you remember this person is already, they already don't trust themselves, right? So you need to be able to bring them back to a space where they can be able to actually believe what you're saying and try to listen, right? So if you're able to do that, it signals that the feedback is supportive and not an attack. And try to acknowledge what they did well. When you're giving feedback to this person, try to acknowledge what they did well first. Low esteem individuals often ignore their strength. So you must start with specific positive observations, not just generic praise. Instead of, you did a good job, talk about, I like how clearly you did this or explained an idea. You get. That part was very good. It was, try as much as possible to acknowledge what they did first. And this must be something very specific, not just a very generic feedback. And then focus on the behavior, not the person. Never make feedback about their identity. Avoid, you are not confident when presenting. You get. Instead, you can do something like, during the presentation, you looked down frequently, you get, which made it harder for the audience to connect with you. So you're trying to say the problem is the presentation, not them, you get. So your focus should be on the behavior and not the person. And then frame feedback as growth and not failure. So low self-esteem individuals interpret criticism as proof they are incapable. So use a lot of growth language when you're trying to give feedback to this kind of person. Something like this. This is something many people improve with practice, you get, because you are telling them that it's not all about you. It's a problem that is associated with so many people. But over time, through practice, they've been able to improve. You get. And be clear but gentle. Don't use vague comments that become very hard for them to understand. And then offer support where it is absolutely necessary by reinforcing belief in their ability, because that's what you're there for. You get. So those are some of the ways you can ensure that you're able to provide a more structured and accurate feedback to somebody who is already struggling with low self-esteem. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it did. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
All right, as we wrap up, we already 5 minutes past the hour, the end time. So let me have this one more question, and then maybe we can end our call from there. So Zara, Moriko, please, you can proceed.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for the session and the presentation by the other mentor, of which I'm not good at pronouncing her name. And I also thank Brenda so much for the powerful presentation and the guidance concerning the session today about limiting beliefs and stuff. So my question is, I actually have like 2 questions. One is sincerely, as for an example, me, I think, to my thinking, I'm an overthinker due to past experience. So I want to know how I will overcome that and work on myself, because from what has been said, from what I got, I've learned really a lot, and I'm really in the process of changing who I am. The negative me, because I'm full of negativity, that I know myself, because yeah, that's me. So I want to become somebody better, how to respond to situations, especially emotions wise. And secondly is I also know that, I won't say I think, but I also know that maybe I am somebody that is naive. So how I need like advice, or I don't know, something that can make me overcome that, because it really affects me a lot. I don't know. And with the negativity that I have, and I feel like everything is wrong with me, because I feel like everything is wrong with me, and I feel down. It's like I'm of no use. I just feel useless. And I don't know, all this, with all this session that is helping me out, I really want to build myself, raise my voice, and prove myself that I am somebody. So that is it. That's what I have. And I really appreciate you guys for everything, and for all this that you're doing. It's really helping, though bit by bit. With time, I know that by the end of the 3 months, I would be, I think, good to go, and I will be somewhere. Yeah. So thank you so much.
So I hope the question was it's clear.
Thank you, Zahar, for that. For the 2 questions, I think.
I think I'm coming.
Oh, yeah. Please come in. Or please go ahead.
All right, I'll just put something small. small, then we'll top it up. I understand the stage of justice, but one thing I would just love you to do is you need to be compassionate and kind with yourself, regardless of the past experiences, regardless of the current situations that you might be passing through. Be kind enough to yourself. Love yourself enough. Be good to yourself. I think this will help you a lot. Just take time that I'm good and I'm worthy and I can, get through this. Yeah.
Yes, Nepal, you can proceed.
Nyakwar, are you through? You are actually muted. Okay, I can just help a bit. And sum up this check if you don't have any questions in the chat so that we don't have people who are.
We have one, I think, two questions, but I think the first one you tackled it and you answered, so it's only one question left.
Great. Let me provide feedback to Zahara. Then we can proceed. Great. So, overthinking is very common, and the same mind that helps you analyze deeply can sometimes trap you in endless loops of what ifs. The goal is not to stop thinking because, as a human being, that's impossible. It's to control when thinking becomes useful and when it becomes harmful to you. So, first of all, some practical ways for you to manage, overthinking. Number one is for you to recognize the difference between thinking and overthinking. Healthy thinking helps you solve problems. Overthinking repeats the same thoughts without moving towards an action. A simple test that you can ask yourself is this helping me make a decision, or am I just replaying the same thoughts in my mind? If you notice you are repeating the same concerns again and again, that is usually overthinking. Number two, set a time limit for decisions. Overthinkers often wait until they feel 100% certain, but in reality, very few decisions come with full certainty. What you can try, give yourself a defined thinking window. For example, let's say I'm going to think about this particular issue for about 1 hour, and after that, I'll make a decision. You get. After that time, make the best decision that is with the information that you already have. Remember, progress often comes from good decisions made on time, not perfect decisions made too late. Hear that right. Progress often comes from good decisions made on time and not perfect decisions made too late. Even if it is perfect, if you make it too late, it won't help you. But if you make a good decision, even if it's not perfect, but you make it on time, that's progress. And that is what can help you a lot. Number three, try as much as possible to write your thoughts down. When thoughts stay in your head, they often grow bigger and more confusing. So take a notebook with your pen and write. What is the problem? What are the possible solutions? What is the worst realistic outcome? What is the best possible outcome? Saying thoughts on paper often makes them more clear and less overwhelming. So you will find yourself actually having the best options at your disposal, and you can be able to use that to make a decision. Then shift from thinking to action. Overthinking thrives in inactivity. When you are very inactive, you spend a lot of time overthinking, right? But shift to action. When you notice yourself stuck in analysis, ask yourself, what is one small step I can take right now to turn things around? It might be just calling somebody, texting somebody, researching about something, preparing a meal, doing a chores in the house, whatever the case, or asking somebody for advice you get. Just take an action that will stop you from overthinking. Challenge what if thinking. Overthinkers often imagine many negative possibilities, right? When you catch yourself thinking, what if something goes wrong? Ask a second question. What if things actually go well? When your mind naturally focuses on risk, but reality usually contains both risk and opportunity. So as much as you're thinking about the negative, be sure to think about the positive, because normally those two things work together. It's just that only one will happen at a time. Forget it. And accept that uncertainty is part of life. Nobody in this life will tell you that they've had things figured out from day one. It's not possible. Overthinking often comes from trying to control every possible outcome. But the truth is that no one controls everything like that. Learn to tolerate uncertainty, because that is a very powerful skill. Many successful people move from even when they do not have all the answers, but they still took a step and they were able to move forward, right? So those are some key things that you could practice every day to be able to get you out of overthinking. When you say you're feeling naive, it normally means you believe you trust too easily, you assume good intentions, or sometimes you realize later that you missed, warning signs. The good news is that naivety is not a permanent trait, right? It's usually just a stage of learning before wisdom develops. Many thoughtful and kind people go through this phase. The goal is not to become suspicious or cynical, but to become aware, discerning, confident in your own judgment. Keep your kindness and add awareness to your kindness, right? Most naive people are often kind, trusting, and optimistic. Those qualities are strength and they're very good. Everybody needs that. The problem only appears when trust is given without observation of boundaries. So when you use your strength, your kindness, your trusting, your optimisticness, you use it and give it out without putting boundaries to it. That's where the problem is. You don't need to stop believing in people. You simply need to observe before you trust deeply, right? And learn to observe behavior, not just the words. One of the biggest lessons in maturity is that people reveal who they are through their patterns, not promises, because anybody can say anything, you get. But pay attention on how they behave and ask questions instead of assuming, because you will be able to get a lot of information that you can use to be able to move past whatever it is that is holding you back. Learn from your past experiences without becoming bitter. Everyone realizes at some point that they trusted someone too quickly or misunderstood a situation, you get it. Instead of feeling embarrassed, ask yourself, what did I miss? You get, how would I improve? What would I have done differently? And all of those. And just to reemphasize to you again that throughout this session, you will have the opportunity to go over a number of sessions that can help you to be able to overcome some of these things that are currently presenting a lot of challenge to you. Many people who eventually become wise leaders, once felt naive at some point. What changed was not their kindness, it was their awareness and judgment. You can still be kind, trusting, and open-minded, while also being observant, thoughtful, and self-protective. Just like Nyakwar has said, practice kindness to yourself, because you are the first person who sees yourself. If you don't do that, the rest of the world may not be able to see it. And your worth is with you. And that is something you must hold deeply inside of you. Over to you, Sam.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Brenda. That really answers the question. I really hope Zara, this response answer you well. So I think we are already past time, and we really apologize for we really can't fight past time. So I think it was because we started our session late today, and I hope we'll work on that next session, and we'll appreciate that. So right now, I think we're not going to take any more questions, but we will remain behind for some 5 minutes of time. So we will answer those questions that you feel like you need to ask them. So for now, let's give room for others also to go and work on their to-dos. You know, at this time, somebody must have a schedule, a meeting or an errand by this time. So let's allow them to go. Maybe for those who still have questions, you can still remain behind. We will answer your question. So thank you so much once again, everybody, for joining today's session. I really appreciate the time and your commitment throughout this session. And uh, I'm really assuring you this that this fellowship is going to be really great one day, and you will see the outcome of your build best self. Okay, so I'm really sure that you're not going to remain the same anymore when you're in this community, and let's get to add more effort. Let's get to learning as we continue with this fellowship. So thank you so much once again, everybody. See you next weekend, and have a wonderful start of a new week that start. So and yeah, so bye, and you can feel
We have
free to leave the call.
somebody, Ton.
Yeah,
Ton
yeah,
has
Ton.
the
Yeah,
hand.
we are going to give him the chance for him to ask his question, but let me allow the rest to be for those who feels like they want to leave the call. So you can leave the call. So, Tan, I think you still have a question. Your hand's up. You can. I saw your question, but I think you have to say it verbally maybe for it to be clear. So, you're up, please.
Yeah, then actually it is a great moment attend this fellowship today, and I really appreciate Nyakwar for the fellowship that you're giving us today, and it was a great moment even before for you to overcome things that you have never thought of and how those things can affect you and how those things can improve your life. Actually, this session of today it is a nice session, and then I have only one question which always concern me because I didn't join before I was not joining these follows, and then it have something that affected me a lot, including the emotional feelings and then like the tragic emotion. This thing it happened because mostly the person must say that even before it happened in my career when I was being admitted in the school. It seemed that I choose the wrong school, which the school I said that the school is was not this college was not meant for me because what those people that they need people having creativity, critical thinkings, and well analysis. And then I say, this course is not for me because whenever I see say this architecture, it was very art thing, and then there are certain things that happen to me. I say, okay, I also continue peering, but I have to control the emotion of feelings, then which give me even sometimes I can quiz because a lot of things we are doing presentation, public speaking, and before I'm not quite sure of those speaking before. Then it come, but what I need to ask is only one question: is why this all when we are applying this concept of emotional tragedies? Because some people you can be alone, nobody can give you advice, and whenever there is no one giving you advice and there is something that is disturbing you in career, you can either things negative things that make your attitude to be even change. Sometimes I can say, for me, I'm not good enough to do these things. But the day I joined this group today, and then even the session of today, I learned some of the things that can ensure you one day in a different perspective that can give you another chance. But thank you for giving.
I actually didn't get a question. Was there a question? You're basically sharing your comment and personal, reflections. did you have an actual question?
Yeah. My actual question was why this when you are flying the projects,
I can't hear
emotional
you. You're
projects,
breaking.
because whenever someone is in a danger and then for him to
I can't hear you.
okay, sorry, due to the
Yeah, try again
network.
now. Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
question is why this whenever you are flying the concept of emotional politics, like when it's something, can't hear me? Okay.
Someone confirm if you can hear Thorn,
Actually,
because I
the
can't.
question is why this whenever you are, if you are flying this concept or emotional tragedies going at it, that's the question it is.
Someone please try to
I
translate that question because I
yeah,
didn't get it.
let me try to rephrase the question. Maybe I didn't, but he's going to help me if I exactly got his question. So from what I heard, it's like asking like why this like emotional intelligence, like this session itself, like how can we apply it like in our real life? Maybe let me put it that way. Like in what terms or ways that it help us? That's how I got his question. So please, if that's not the question, you can also let me know. Like, why is this session? Like, what's the result? What's the outcome, the outcome of this session?
The outcome of this session.
Like, how does it help us? Like emotional intelligence.
But that's just about everything that we talked about. The intention for you is to improve your self control, build confidence, and refrain from negative self talk, right? I don't know. Where you actually,
But
yeah, I think I
let-
saw Thorn throughout the session. The
yeah.
intention for you is for you to understand these concepts. You will never attend any classroom at any university where somebody talks to you about limiting beliefs. And until you hear people talk about it, you don't know what it is. You've had comments from some of the fellows already about this aligning with them. The intention is for you to understand what this is and how you're going to overcome it if you're facing it. If you feel you are already in control of your emotions, if you feel you don't have these limiting beliefs, good for you. You get. That is where we want everybody to get at. That everybody is in a place where they don't allow these limiting beliefs to hinder them, to hinder their life, to hinder their growth, because this is the foundation, right? You have to be in a place where you are self-aware. You know what is going on within you. And that is the foundation for everything. If you don't control what is happening internally within you, you can't control anything outside. If you can't control your emotions, you can't control anything outside. The intention is for you to be in a place where you have total control of your emotions. That's why we talk about the limiting beliefs. That's why we talk about emotional intelligence. How do you go about it? What are you supposed to do? How do you practice self-awareness? You get. So the entire session is for you to understand these concepts and why it is very important for you to be able to overcome if you find yourself in a situation like this. I hope this is very clear for you.
Yeah, thank you. This is what I need from you. Thank you so much.
I think you tackled this question. So, and if you have any question, please, we're still here to answer your questions that you feel like you want it to be elaborated on, or you need some clarification. So you can ask them. So our meeting has ended before. So if you feel like we have ended, so you can leave the call whenever you want.